Hello, this is Nathan Booth, and I'm submitting a request to make some changes to the plans that I originally had in place for my application, Dungeon Companion. The changes that I'm wanting to make are specifically about the Dungeon and Campaign section of the application. Previously, I had it set up, as you can see in these wireframes right here, where you would select a dungeon or add a new dungeon from one of these, and then you'd get a view that's like this. And what I ended up having was you'd have your different players that are active in the campaign right here, and then you would have your you'd have notes right here about the campaign, and the dungeon master could add new monsters and NPCs and save them. Recently, I talked to my D&D group about this, and they all kind of agreed that it would be better to actually have the Dungeon Master tools in the way that I had them here actually be a completely separate app as opposed to being built into this one. This app is a lot more centered around players that might be new to the game or just normal players in general. And so they said they didn't think the Dungeon Master part necessarily fit in quite as well, and that they personally would prefer to have it separate. So, my new proposition is not to scrap this area entirely, it's just to change it. You'd still have a selection screen like this, where you could add a new campaign, and you could click on different ones. But instead of you getting all these tools where it shows different people's health, I'm more so changing it into a CRUD type section where you could take notes about the specific campaign in question, and that way you can look at them as needed, and just in general it would be a more useful function. This is the interface I'm proposing, so very similar to what's going on in a lot of the rest of the app, where you have, you could select here and then it gives you your actual data there, and you can add one from right here. Some advantages you can get with having a notes section is almost every single place, different groups will have their own house rules. And so you can take notes on what the rules are for that. They might, I know, like for my group, we have it where 4 weeks into the campaign, right, whenever you first start a new character, you can make any changes you want on that character until the end of the 4th week. After that, your character is locked in, and you could still make changes depending on the DM. We have 2, and you have to pay a certain amount of gold in game in order to make those changes. So that's a house rule that has nothing to do with the original D&D rules, but it would be kind of nice to be able to document that. Now, to make these notes more relevant, whenever you actually add a new note, I'm going to give you the option not only to name it and input any things you want. I'm also going to allow you to assign it to one of the characters that you have created, so that whenever you're in the character screens, you can actually add a note directly from there and it'll be put in. So if you're wanting to make a note on what's going on in the game, or just off of a new thing that you just learned while on your character management screen, which is over here, let me hide that real quick, you can. And so I'm thinking having a overflow menu right here where you can actually select that. That pretty much summarizes the change that I'm wanting to make. It is more of a practical type thing of just how people are going to use this app, most likely, and this seems to fit in more than the other one. That said, the other system I will eventually probably build into a second app for Dungeon Masters specifically to use, as that's something that they were very interested in. As far as timeline goes, I don't see it making any changes really to this. Um, what I'm planning on having done this week for alpha release is the character creation and management and a good chunk of the lore. That is my primary focus. I'm going to get as much of those done as possible. Those are the core functionalities of this app. They're what needed most. They're going to be what sells it, and so they are the focus for now. But during the beta release, besides just optimizing those and getting them working the rest of the way, if they're not all the way working already, beta release is when then I would also build in the note creation system, which shouldn't be too bad because, like I said, it is going to be basic. It's going to be like a CRUD. I don't see it being something that's extremely complicated to build, so I don't see it adding extra time of focus necessarily here. It might even actually reduce the amount of time needed because the previous one was going to have a kind of a miniature character creation system for the DM specifically to create any NPCs they want, any monsters they want that they can then throw into the campaign. Anyways, thank you for watching my video. I would appreciate any feedback you guys can think of on these changes, either different things you'd like to see or anything that you think might just be a little off that it could be done better. Have a good one and good luck with the rest of this week. Bye.